Hi. So, this is chapter 8 of Black Cats Are Bad Luck and So Are You, Kid by Holly. Uh, if you're curious to why I was not alive for 2 days, basically, the short answer is D&D and Father's Day. She slowly picked Izuku up and held him close to her face, inspecting him. Izuku? The boy nodded. Oh God, I cursed in front of a child. You did worse than cuss in front of him. I've made so many sex jokes before, that's fine. Also, that one did worse yesterday. His English teacher spoke and pointed down to the raven haired on the floor. Oh God, damn, this child has so much blackmail. She lifted him up, and Izuku shook his head quickly, which made his homeroom teacher snored. That's right, he doesn't know jack shit. Sho, did you threaten him? No. The blonde looked at Izuku. It's okay. If the asshole on the floor threatened you, child, don't listen to him. The woman holding him in the air brought him close and hugged him. You're safe now from the mean man, kiddo. Use all that blackmail. Please don't. I encourage the use of blackmail on your teachers. Namuri, stop. She laughed and ran out of the room with Izuku. Use it to make Izawa tie himself up again with his rope. Namuri, I'm going to fucking kill you. Izuku heard loud footsteps and his English teacher's now familiar yelp of surprise. Izuku wiggled out of the woman's hold just as his homeroom teacher barreled into the woman, sending them both tumbling to the ground. Izuku ran and hid under the couch as they began to roll around the room, fighting. The blonde walked in and sighed, shaking his head and watching them like it was a normal occurrence. Zuko bolted from under the couch towards the calmer man after the two slammed into the couch and moved it. In a panic, he climbed up the man's leg, who hissed in pain and picked the boy turned cat up and held him. The man patted his head and walked away from it into their kitchen. They'll stop when they get tired. I can't stop them, though. Last time, Nem's quirk got activated and I woke up with two guilty-looking shits and a black eye. Zuko laughed at the thought, and he was set on the counter. His English teacher rustled around in the fridge before pulling out some deli meat and setting it on a platter and sliding it to him. Here, I'm sure cat food was a little dehumanizing. I'm sure you're hungry. Zuko nodded and clumsily bowed in thanks to the man before chowing down onto the food. The man smiled fondly and shook his head. Yeah, I figured. There was a thump and some muffled cursing in the living room before the fighting continued. The blonde sighed once again, and Izuku flicked his tail, amused. The man sat on the counters behind him and watched the two in the living area from the safety of the counters. Once Izuku was finished, he watched with the man, sit closer to the edge so he could see over. Though once his homeroom teacher threw a book at the other's head, and it missed and hit the edge of the counter, Zuko jumped back and the blonde picked the boy up and held him in his arms, where he could still watch, but it was safer than before. Though after the two bumped into a table and a very expensive lamp wobbled dangerously, he yelled at them, Okay, that's enough! They both immediately stopped what they were doing, mid swings at each other, and got off each other like children being scolded. The man holding him snorted quietly and set Izuku back down on the counter. He stood up and racked both of them on the backs of their head. I'm not cleaning this. They both chuckled and nodded, immediately beginning to clean their mess. Izuku watched as they did, flicking his ear. He had the urge to clean himself. Like everything was uncomfortable, he leaned his head back and took a tentative lick, which helped immensely. He sighed and began to clean himself as the two in the living room kept cleaning. being sternly observed by the blond man, with his arms crossed like an angry parent. Zuko thought it was amusing to see their dynamics at home in their home, and how they seemed scared of him using the information he has against them. Yet they haven't seemed to restrain themselves against their normal dynamics or actions. He twisted around to fix the fur on his back, and he found the more he did this, the more relaxed his mind began. He was so focused on the itchy feeling fading and being soothed by the calmness that he didn't notice when the adults finished cleaning and walked over to him before he was lifted into the air by the woman again. She hugged up close to her chest, which made Izuku wiggle and meow unhappily. Meow! Meow! Oh, poor boy, being abused by this cruel man. The Murray put him down. He obviously doesn't like it. The woman stuck her tongue out at him and held him under his armpits and up towards the ceiling. He doesn't mind, do you, baby? Izuku quickly nodded, as yes, he did mind. She ruined his hard work. He wiggled it more in her hold, trying to break free. The dark-haired man snorted and crossed his arms. Yeah, he looks and sounds real happy right now. The woman sighed and set him back down on the counter, where he walked away out of her reach. The blonde sighed and sat down on the counter again. So, are you hungry? The two looked at each other and shrugged. Sure, if you want to order in. I thought we could go out and eat. I'm not leaving him here alone. His teacher butted quickly and pointed to Izuku, who flicked his tail at the attention and looked at the adults. Well, we do need more cat-safe foods to give him, the blonde pointed out. Then I'll send you two a list, but I'm not leaving him. Boo, loser. The Murray jeered at him, and the blonde sighed and stood from the counter. I'll go with you, Murray, and bring both of you some food. Sound good? The dark-haired man nodded. Sounds great. The man nodded and went to the room to get changed, though the dark-haired woman wrapped her arms around his homeroom teacher's shoulder, which made the man grumble. You're like a dad, honestly. You want to have a round too? The man turned his head and looked at the woman with a challenge in his eyes. She grinned and poked his cheek. So I could beat your ass again? Hell yeah. You did not beat my ass, you. Don't start that bullshit again. The blonde came out of the bedroom and walked over to the two. Besides, Izuku has a call with his mother in an hour, remember? Yeah, I know. Another reason I wanted to stay. They both looked at him disbelievingly, and he rolled his eyes. Just leave before Namuri decides to throw hands again. Beach, I'll beat your ass. Oh, wait, that's his job. She was promptly dragged from the room by his English teacher, cackling. Once the door closed, his homeroom teacher sighed and looked over to the counters to address Izuku. But Izuku was long gone, not wanting to listen to that conversation. But he was stopped on his way to the bathroom to hide by Sushi, the large cat watching him grumpily. Izuku chuckled nervously and backed up a little. Hey, what's up? The cat's ears folded back and growled. This is my territory and those are my humans. You need to leave. Zuko backed up a little more and prepared to bolt. I can't. He's supposed to be. Before he could finish, the cat hissed and jumped at him, clawing Zuko's nose. Zuko jumped back with a yelp and ran. His eyes were watering and he smelled blood, which made him panic more. The cat yowled again and gave chase. Ow! Zuko jumped under the couch where the cat couldn't reach, and the large cat slammed into the fabric. Once he regained his balance, he leaned down and began to swipe under the couch. Come back here, you dumb alley cat. Zuko panted and scooched under the couch more. Sushi was lifted into the air by his homeroom teacher, and the man walked away carrying the beast Sushi, I know Azashi said I was being a bad influence, but that was uncalled for. The cat hissed and tried to wiggle out of the man's hold before being dispensed into the bathroom and locked inside. The cat desperately meowing, meow, meow, and reaching under the door pathetically. The man sighed and walked back to the living room to collect the child the damn cat had scared. He sat on the ground in front of the couch and held out his hand. It didn't seem right to talk to a scared cat otherwise. Come on out, Zuko. I put him away. Zuko slowly crept out from under the couch and towards the man's hand. His teacher gently grabbed him and inspected his nose. There was a small cut, but it wasn't bleeding much. The man sighed and wiped off the blood with a tissue from their coffee table. Sorry, kid. I don't know what got into him. Zuko bumped his head into his hand and purred, letting him know it was all right, even if he was still violently shaking. The man sighed and picked him up, setting him on the couch where the boy lay down and closed his eyes. The man sighed and leaned his head into the couch, watching him. Maybe when you're human again, he'll like you better. He's normally pretty chill with all humans. Izuku flicked his tail in response and huffed, cracking open an eye to glare at the man, which made him chuckle. He looked at the cat. He looked the cat up and down and reached over to touch his nose. Your nose feel okay? Zuko nodded. It stung, but it stopped bleeding and didn't hurt a lot, so it was fine. The man nodded and laid his face on the plush couch, talking into it. It was muffled, but Zuko didn't even care to try and translate his muttering. Flicking his tail and closing his eyes once more, the man sighed, and Zuko felt him move before he felt a hand on his side. Zuko jumped a little but relaxed as the man began to pet him. Purring softly, the man chuckled and rubbed behind his ear, whispering, Don't tell anyone, okay? Zuko nodded slightly and fell asleep, trusting the man he called his teacher. Okay, well, that's the end of Black Cats Are Bad Luck and So Are You, Kid. Well, not end. The end of chapter 8. Oh my god, I'm tired. Okay. I was planning to record a second one today, but honestly, I should just stop procrastinating cleaning the bathroom and just go clean it, but who said I was smart about it? uh, anyway, I hope you have a good rest of the day, and bye!